background noise still there when I'm talking?
It's much better now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's no background noise, right? Because
Yeah, there's no background noise now. It's better.
thanks. Because there's a feature here of noise cancellation. I was just going through things and was got this one.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's much better now.
Something good about well-being.
All right, Sakshi, did you want to go ahead and get started?
Sure. I will just set this up. Um, okay. Welcome everyone to our October session for Data+Women New England Tableau user group. We have really good speakers tonight, today or tonight, based on wherever you are, and I'm really excited to start with this. Thank you, Don, for sharing screen for all of us, because somehow there was a glitch from my end. Can we go to the next slide, please? So our agenda for today, we'll quickly start with introducing all of the panelists, and we have a couple of panel questions ready, and then we'll open it up to the audience for Q&A. You can also ask questions on the chat box and someone might respond. This is our leadership team: Karishma, Dawn, Sakshi, that's me, and Krishma. Our advisory board has Ria, Madhuri, Preeti, and Noel, who are also on call today. And that's me. I'm your host for today. I will quickly introduce myself. I am currently a master's student in industrial and organizational psychology, and I have a concentration in people analytics. I'm also a teaching assistant for a graduate statistics and organizational behavior course where I use a lot of data tools such as Excel, Tableau, Power BI, R, etc. Because of my field, I'm also the president of the Society of Human Resource Management at the University of New Haven. My term is about to end, but this was a pretty cool position. Um, I basically am interested in using psychological theories and using data to help organizations perform better, employees perform better, and enhance culture. In terms of Tableau, I just became the academic ambassador. I'm a co-lead for this TUG, and I took the Tableau desktop specialist exam last year. And I'm pretty new to Tableau. It's only been a year, but I really, really enjoy it. And when I'm not doing all of these things, I got into crocheting, which felt like the summer hobby of the year that everyone picked up, cooking and reading. I will now pass it on to Dawn to introduce some of our speakers.
All right, first up is Heather Go. She is a Tableau developer, and she's also not only skilled in Tableau, but she's got a great array, I would say, of applications, talents under her belt. I asked her to be a panelist today because she's one of the people that I've learned Tableau from, who inspired me to learn more about the tool. She's got an engineering degree, a Bachelor of Arts in Applied Music from Transylvania University. So Heather, I don't know if you want to take yourself off mute and say hello and add anything about yourself.
Hi. Excuse me. I picked the worst time to get a tickle in my throat. Thank you, Dawn, for the introduction, and it's nice to meet you all.
All right. Next, we have Jody, who's a senior associate at JP Morgan Chase. She has got some great Tableau Public dashboards. So if you're out there in Tableau Public, check out her Tableau Public page. I was like, wow, these are so good. She's also a Tableau Public ambassador and co-leads the DataFam Catch-Up and Mumbai Tableau user groups. So she's got a lot of Tableau projects, mentoring under her belt. Jody, if you want to take yourself off of mute and add anything if you would like to and say hello.
Hey everyone, it's a pleasure to be here, and thanks to the panelists for inviting me. And yeah, looking forward to our conversation here.
And there is a festival going on in the background. So if you hear some music, I wish I could be outside dancing where Jody is. It sounds like it's really fun. So
apologies for that, but can't do much around that.
all right, I'm going to turn it over to, who is it? Jane? Jane, are you on?
Yeah. So please welcome Jane, a skilled student at Northeastern University, where she's pursuing a BS in computer science and business analytics. Jane is the 2024 Tableau Iron Visualization Student Edition winner and standout nominee at 2024 Viz Award for categories like Notable Newbie and Viz of the Year. I'd like to go ahead, Jane, and just say hi to the team and just go from there.
Yes, hello. Happy to be here. And I'm also a new academic ambassador for Tableau, so excited to be here and represent students.
Hello, everybody. We have Nicole Mark here. She's been a data visualization engineer and consultant, and she's based in Delaware. She's very passionate about the art and science that goes behind data visualization. And as a natural visual learner and communicator, she appreciates and encourages the power of visual analytics through conveying complex like information and diffuse misinformation and misinformation and disinformation. That's a little bit heavy on the word. And she also co-leads the healthcare Tableau user group and Women in Data Wiz. That's how I met her, through the Women in Data Wiz Slack channel. And in her downtime, she enjoys yoga, drawings, and hanging out with her dog that you can actually see her doing right now as well. So Nicole, if you want to just say hi or add something.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me, and I'm excited to talk with the panel.
Sure. I would go back to Don or I think Sakshi to kick off the panel.
Thank you. I wanted to quickly check with the panelists if it's okay that we stop sharing screen, because I can only see 4 people at once and I would love to see all the panelists together. Okay, I believe everyone has the questions, but in case you don't, I will try to put them in the chat, or if someone can help me do that. I decided to address a couple of questions to some particular people based on your experience, but please feel free to add in for whichever question you would like to. Our first question for the day is, can you share how you first got introduced to Tableau or data analytics, and what sparked your interest? And Heather, would you like to start us off?
Sure. It was actually an accident that I got started with Tableau. We were creating maps in a job that I had several years ago, and they heard that Tableau made really good maps, and so they bought me a license and sent me on my way to learn how to use Tableau to produce maps. I would never suggest anyone to use that as your way into Tableau. It's not really like, I don't know. It's a fine use case, but once I got started with it, I realized there was so much more we could be doing, and I got really excited. And at the time, one of our leaders who brought Tableau into Chase was willing to offer all of the assistance that anyone needed. So I was like at his desk every day, learning how I could get better in Tableau, and eventually he hired me to be on the COE. So that's how I got started.
That's amazing. I think I've heard from a lot of people that they got started with Tableau by luck or by chance. And can Jane add to it and share about how you started off as a student, especially?
Yeah, so I first got introduced to Tableau in high school. Actually, my high school's robotics team, the robotics competition has a partnership with Tableau, and they provide Tableau licenses to robotics teams. So I actually got started visualizing data about like robot performance and our competitors, since we had to see some metrics during competitions. And so that's how I got started. And then I did that in high school. Wasn't super serious about Tableau, but then in college, I took an information visualization course. And through that, I really got to focus on more of the principles of visualization and understanding more about thinking about making a visualization before just making, charts. And so that really made my visualizations more impactful and really interested me a lot more in data visualization in Tableau, since I realized there's so much more you can do with it, and that I really enjoyed getting to combine like the technical aspect and the analytical side with being creative.
That's amazing. You got to start off in high school, which not a lot of people do. That's really cool. Nicole, would you like to share a little bit about your journey with Tableau and how it started?
Sure. I wish I had Tableau in high school. Oh my gosh, I would be such. I don't know what I would be doing right now. Anyway, I have an undergraduate degree in English. And like Heather, I stumbled into Tableau. Back then, there were not degree or jobs for people with English degrees either. And my academic advisor strongly recommended that I not go to grad school for English. So I was working in a pharmacy. First, it was like a CVS pharmacy. It was a Revco, but they became a CVS later. And then I started working in a hospital pharmacy in Baltimore, where I'm from. And then I got offered a job at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill at their hospital in the Oncology Infusion Center. And when I was working there, part of what I did was assist with research about drug sterility and stability, how data influenced decisions of insurance companies about drug coverage. I started just reading a lot of academic papers because I'm curious about everything. I have ADHD. So if you have it, you relate. Like, you'll just get curious about everything. And I was like, what do I do with this newfound interest? And my manager at the time was like, you know what you would be good at? He's like, we're starting a pharmacy informatics team at UNC, and I think you'd be great at that. So I got a job on the pharmacy informatics team, which is essentially just pharmacy analytics with some clinical stuff without getting into the difference between informatics and analytics. It's not very much difference. So I did that at UNC, and then at Mission Hospital in Asheville, where I'm very sad about what's going on there right now. That was a place I loved living. Then I moved to Tampa and worked for a health tech startup. I am getting to Tableau, I promise. And so I wasn't really thinking about visualization at this point yet. I mean, I always learn better visually and all, but I wasn't thinking about making charts. I was thinking about, I was curious about answering questions. That was my main focus. But at the startup in Tampa, Aspen RX Health, I was asked to create dashboards for operational metrics, how many minutes are pharmacists spending on the phone with their patients, or how many new clients do we have this month? Very basic, business metrics. And we had AWS QuickSight. If you have ever used AWS QuickSight, you might know that I found it very frustrating. You can't change the colors of certain things, and that was very jarring. Anyway, now I think you can now, but I haven't used it a long time. So maybe a lot better. I just haven't touched it in the meantime. We hired someone else to join our data team. And when he got there, he was like, oh, Tableau is much better than this. I'm like, tell me more about this Tableau you use. And so I got a trial license. And like Heather was talking about, I was like, teach me this, teach me that, teach me. And I was like, this is the most powerful, interesting. And initially it was all about the explore data analysis I could do in it. And I didn't care the chart. And I found the Data Fam on Twitter, and I was like, I can use my like interest in design and typography and all this stuff. So I got very much interested in doing more visualizations then. And that was, yeah, it just went on from there.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. We'll now move on to the second question. And Jyoti, I would love to hear from you about how you sat and how your proficiency in Tableau sort of evolved over time, and how have you stayed up with current updates or new features on the app?
Okay, so is my voice audible? Just want to say, and apologies if you're hearing the background noise. There's festival going on. Yeah, my proficiency in Tableau has evolved over time. I think it was the COVID time when I just started experimenting and collecting the design, art, and analytics, everything together in the visualization. Because that was the first time in COVID. Like I was using Tableau from like 2017, I think, but it was the COVID time when it was a eureka moment for me when I saw people designing beautiful dashboards where they are, amalgamating all the design, art, and analytics together. I was like, I want to experiment with that. So that was the point when my journey with analytics and visualization took a steep, and I would say that after that, I never looked back. It was a beautiful experience, and Tableau helped me a lot in that. Uh, I stay updated on all the things through, some of the YouTube channels like Tableau Tim. He does a beautiful video always whenever there's a release or new updates. So I keep myself updated about that. And Tableau has some really nice release notes which you can easily understand. So that is other way to remain updated about the new things which are coming. And I'm always excited whenever Tableau releases something, around the Ironverse and the conference, they announce new features and everything. So that helps me a lot to stay updated. So yeah, that was it. But once you keep practicing your data visualization analytics with different data sets, not just related to one segment, your level increases.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for sharing. Heather, would you like to add to that and how you sort of over time became more proficient or how you keep up with updates?
So, like I said, when I started, I was there, like with I guess the leader of Tableau at the time, just bugging him. And then moving into some different roles, I had to get better at Tableau. Like I couldn't just keep doing the same basic things. I worked in complaints data, which is always fun and interesting to see how much people complain and what they complain about. And we wanted to change how we were visualizing that to make it more interesting, to make it better for our customers. And I went to conference in 2016 and it blew my mind. And so then I just kept digging even deeper. After I joined the COE, I was kind of forced into training Tableau. And you can't really be a trainer in Tableau and not know what you're doing. So I had to keep updated on everything, that was coming along so that I could share that with everyone. And then the Tableau Academy came along. I brought that in to Chase. And again, I had to keep that evergreen. So that training was always up to date. So I had to just keep focused on what was happening in Tableau just so I could share that with everyone else. And then Dawn took that over for me. So now she gets to take care of all of that on.
That's really nice. I think that's good advice. So if you want to teach Tableau, you need to be able to, like, I guess, keep up to date with everything. That's something I will take away from this. Um, does anyone want to add anything to this question before I move on? Any other tips or tricks on how you keep up or how you became more proficient?
I guess I would like to add something. I think with every viz I make, I try to incorporate something new. So it kind of forces me to research a new chart type or a new function in Tableau. And then when you get to apply it as well at the same time, it kind of reinforces your understanding. So I found that's a really good way to expand my knowledge of Tableau and then get to incorporate into something I'm currently working on.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Our next question is kind of in your industry or in the work that you do, how is Tableau specifically used? And can you give an example of a recent project that you worked on? And I will have Nicole start us off with this one.
Sure thing. So primarily I work with healthcare data. I'm a consultant, so occasionally I do non-healthcare roles, but for the most part, my clients are healthcare clients. But this past most of 2023 and into early 2024, I was working with Pleasant Trees Cannabis Company in Michigan. So they're a legal, vertically integrated grow, process, and retail cannabis organization. And the amount of interesting data they had when I got there on day one, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Everything from like the humidity, the soil, acidity, like all of these data points around the plants. And then also all the usual kind of business data. They already had Tableau when I got there, but they needed to focus their reporting suite. It was kind of all over the place. People were just like playing around with the data, which is great, but it wasn't really helping. They were more interested in which strains do we plant that are most popular with people so we can maximize our income. Cannabis has a small margin, kind of like the restaurant business. So I created a harvest forecast model and deployed it. And then I visualized the data from that in Tableau for the people who worked in the cultivation facility. So they could look to see, here's where we are, here are the strains. Oh, we don't have much of this, but consumer demand is high for this. So they would create a work order based on the data in the Tableau dashboard. Right now I'm working for Moderna on a contract, and I'm working with drug stability data. So, how long is this drug effective, or has it started losing potency? And some mRNA, it's not even a drug. So, and that's inherently unstable. So I'm learning so much. I have a business analyst there. This is just an aside because it's interesting to me. There's a business analyst I work with who has a PhD, and he was a bench scientist before he became an analyst. And I have learned so much from him, and it has been super fascinating. Yeah, but if you have any specific, is that too vague, or were you wanting more specificity?
No, that is pretty specific. I really enjoyed hearing about healthcare and even data related to drug stability. I think that's really interesting, and I think a lot of like pharmacies want to kind of tap into that as well. And thank you for sharing the Slack channel link on the chat box. I will check it out
please,
later.
anyone that wants to, please join. We have a great time. It's not Tableau specific. Sometimes it's not even data viz specific. Sometimes we're just there helping each other get through life, but it's fun.
That's amazing. Jyoti, would you like to share an example of how you use Tableau in your industry or any recent project that you worked on?
Yeah, so currently I'm working in the banking financial services sector. So there is not a single way Tableau is used. Actually, it is for different things. Like first one is definitely reporting, and then also for the process improvement, then for the root cause analysis, point-in-time analysis. There are a lot of things for which it is currently being used. And in my team, it is being used for process improvement and the reporting purposes as well. So when I say process improvement, it basically means that we are trying to automate something, we are trying to improve the efficiency of a process. So we analyze the data points to see where we can improve. So if I give an example of a recent project I've been working on, we are trying to reduce the manual touch points in one of our programs. And how do you reduce the touch points if you don't know where they are, how many touch points there are in a particular section or a function? So for all that, Tableau is really helpful to me to do that quick analysis. You know, we always talk about Tableau as a giving us a canvas to create the great visualizations. But one of the other aspects of Tableau is that it really helps me to do the quick analysis. Initially, I was a Python code girl, but when I was introduced to Tableau, it was like, oh, so quick. So yeah, some quick analysis we can also do with that. So yeah, that's how I've been using it recently.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's really interesting. I will now move on to the next question, and I would love to hear what advice someone would give to a new person looking to use Tableau as a tool to advance their career or even academically. And Jane, would you like to start us off on this one?
Sure. So I guess I think that, getting hands-on experience is really important in building out a portfolio. Yeah, I've been I did a co-op and I've been interviewing for internships, and I think having something to speak about is really important, and having something that you can say you worked on and to show people and just to show your skill set is good. And I think that can definitely help to advance your career, just because you can talk a lot about what you might have experience in, but there's a difference between, a dashboard that's just like 100 colors in a highlight table versus something that actually is functional and works well for the use case. And so I think having a portfolio is really important. Also, making sure that it's high quality, like you have some really good business dashboards is important, as well as fun infographics.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice to have a balance of business and creative dashboards. That's something that I'm also trying to incorporate into my portfolio. Heather, would you like to add any advice to someone starting out or looking to use Tableau to advance their career?
I agree with Jane completely. Like were when we were or when we were trying to hire people, we would always go check their public profile, one to see if they had one, and two, what did it look like? Because something that I've learned in hiring Tableau developers is that there are a lot of people who can talk Tableau, not necessarily use Tableau. And I think the biggest thing is if you want to use Tableau to advance your career, make sure that you can do both. You need to be able to speak it, and you need to be able to show that you actually know what you're talking about. The public profile goes a long, long way.
Okay, thanks for sharing. I now have one final question, which is also kind of advice based before we open it up to everyone else to ask questions. This is more related to the data farm community. So, what advice would you give to someone looking to get active in the community? And you can share from personal experience or any other advice that you have. We can start off with Nicole on this one.
So I think that it depends where you are in your journey, how to get involved. There's so much to do in the community. It's overwhelming if you look at everything. If you're newer, like you've been using Tableau for like a year or less, I would say start with a project like Makeover Monday or Diversity in Data or something like that, or Workout Wednesday, which I don't do. Do as I say, not as I do. Because the Workout Wednesday will help you build the skills that you need in business. Like, I mean, I've done some of them, and everyone that I've done, I've used later in a business situation. For Monday, taught me how to make charts. And it was having something every week consistent for a person with ADHD was great. I knew every Monday there was going to be a new data set. And then if you're a little bit further along, maybe real world fake data, because the use cases that Mark chooses are excellent. They're real world business situations. The data is much cleaner than your data will be in real life. Just get used to cleaning data for 40% of the time. But once you get past that, it's really fun. So yeah, I would say join Women in Data Viz. I put the Slack link in and follow your curiosity. Like if you're curious about a Tableau feature or a topic you want to make a viz about, you will stick with it longer if you follow your curiosity and you don't just do, oh, I think I should do Workout Wednesday, so here I go, I'm doing Workout Wednesday. No, follow your curiosity so it's still fun for you when you're not being, in your off hours, when you're not being paid. I could definitely have more business dashboards in my portfolio, but I have a portfolio that shows essentially what my skills are, and that works. But I would say have a diverse portfolio also. And your community projects help you build it. Like, so it's like you don't even have to like sit down and be like, okay, how do I create a portfolio? You just start making things for your community projects and you're like, oh, look, I have 10 things already. It really is. It ends up, and Makeover Monday or Workout Wednesday are great for this. Like every week you're adding something new. And as much as I've wanted to delete some of my old vizzes that are not good, in my opinion, I was encouraged by people that are more experienced than me not to, so I could look at my own growth. And that is really a very excellent piece of advice. Like, because I do look back and I'm like, oh, because when you'll have days when you're like, ugh, like I'm like creatively blocked or something. You're just not feeling it. But if you can look back and say, look how far I've come. Like I can totally do this next thing that's, blocking me or whatever.
Yeah, I've definitely had those days where I've gone back and wanted to delete some of my old dashboards just because I look at them and I'm like, where is the style? But I think I was told by someone else too that you should leave it on there just so you can really get to know what your journey looked like. And thank you, Preeti, for posting that link on the chat. And it's very interesting, Nicole, that what you shared in the chat about not really considering people who didn't have a Tableau public profile, because that really does go a long way.
And it's for the reason Heather was saying, because people would answer Tableau questions correctly because they had studied for the desktop exam or whatever. And I'm all for certification. I love getting a new, shiny new thing to put somewhere. But they have to also be able to do it in real life. And that's how you know they can. Even if it's not an extensive portfolio, like a couple jobs ago, I was on the hiring team for a position. This person had like 5 dashboards, but they all demonstrated her proficiency in a different area. And she also brought the like book knowledge. So we hired her, but we had 1,000 or more applications. So I wasn't even looking at ones that didn't have visuals that I could look at.
Yeah, that's completely fair and really good advice. Shruti, would you like to share a little bit about how someone can get active in the community?
I would just like to add to what Nicole said. Quality matters about the quantity, so definitely. You can have just 2 or 3 dashboards on your portfolio, but if they show what skills you have, then that's enough for someone who is looking at your portfolio. But yeah, as Nicole said, if you have that curiosity, if you have that passion that you can spend extra hours on creating your portfolio, then definitely go for it. And Preeti definitely shared the community projects already with you. yeah, you can go ahead with the workout Wednesdays. I would to whomever I'm suggesting, I always suggest them that start with Workout Wednesday because that keeps you updated with the Tableau new features and you are getting something, some vision which you're looking at and you need to replicate it. So it becomes easy for you to start and then you can go ahead with the other community projects as well. Those will help you and I think sometimes definitely it can be overwhelming to see so many ways open to enter into the community. But yeah, go for whichever fits best for you. And Tableau user groups are another way of just connecting with the data fam and also gaining the knowledge on different topics. There are different talks happening in the different time zones, so whichever suits you, just go for it. And there are amazing speakers coming in on different talks, so connect over that. Now the LinkedIn and YouTube, there are a lot of people who have different channels on different topics, so you can always learn from those as well. Yeah, keep your hopes up and practice, practice, practice. That's what I would say to someone who is trying to just enter into the community. And one last thing, be open for the feedback because if you're creating something, there are so many people who would be interested in giving you the feedback. So take it positively and always work on it. So it will help you a lot.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. So Nicole and Jyoti did cover a lot of ground. So if Jane and Heather want to add something to this question about getting involved in the community. Okay. Thank you so much to all of the panelists once again. We will now open up for Q&A for the audience or if anyone on our team wants to ask questions. We have a couple more minutes for us to get that going. I do know that one of the questions that came up while we were brainstorming questions for this event was how some are Tableau ambassadors and how you kind of worked to get going on that journey if someone wanted to share that. What were the things that you did and what made you passionate about that and how was your whole process? Public, academic, or social, any kind of ambassadors on the panel if you want to share anything.
I could share a little bit. I guess this is my third year as a social ambassador. And it's a weird year to be a social ambassador because the social channels kind of suck right now. But there are other ways. When I got started, I was engaging with the data fam mostly on Twitter before Twitter turned into a cesspool. And so I would write blog posts. I like to write, and it's a way that I integrate my own understanding is by writing about it, you know. And so I would post blog posts. I would create vizzes and ask people for feedback. And I wasn't even thinking about being an ambassador yet, honestly. Like it just wasn't. I thought I had to do so much more or something. I don't know what I thought I had to do. But Kevin Flurledge reached out and was like, you should apply to be an ambassador. And I think you should apply specifically to be a social ambassador. And I'm like, well, since I use his blog for practically everything I do. So when I don't know something as a consultant, you know, you'll get asked to make everything you can imagine. And obviously none of us know everything. But I had used Kevin's blog as a resource for a couple of years at that point. And I was like, okay, if he thinks I can do it, I guess I can do it. So it's not so don't worry about checking off specific boxes. Like, did I write 17 blog posts or whatever? I think if you have enthusiasm for Tableau and you're engaging with the community in a positive way, like you're providing feedback to other people, you're welcoming people, you're asking questions, like any of that is good. Or you're like, I've never used the forums, but a lot of people use the forums. The user experience is so bad, I just can't. I get so frustrated. But like it depends, you can make your mark in various areas, depending on, what you're doing, what industry you're in, or I'm naturally I'm a Gemini, if astrology is your jam. So I'm naturally drawn to like social things. Like I like talking a lot. So I would say if you have an interest in it, go for it. Get involved in the community in whatever way feels fun and exciting for you, and whatever way works with your life and your schedule. Don't put extra pressure on yourself about it. But it's a really great experience, and I've met people that have helped me so much in so many different ways. I totally recommend it.
Thank you for sharing that, Nicole. Jane, do you want to add to that?
I just became a academic ambassador this year, and I think for me it was pretty natural after I won Iron Viz Student Edition. I got more involved with the data fam, and then I thought it'd be a good opportunity, and someone also reached out to me and had nominated me for the role as well, and so I thought, why not? It would be a good experience, and it's been really interesting so far, getting to see kind of what goes on, not behind the scenes, but among like the ambassadors, and getting to be on that feels really special to like see all these Tableau legends in like the ambassador channels. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Congratulations on winning that. I know it's a little too late, but yes. Thank you for sharing. Do we have any more questions before we wrap this event up?
I have a comment. Jane, I just looked at your Iron Viz entry. I love Studio Ghibli, and all like Princess Mononoke is my favoriteest movie ever. And I will dig into your Viz later, but you win on the topic front for sure.
Thank you.
Can you put a link in the chat? I also like Studio Ghibli, so.
Oh yeah, I can put that in the chat right now.
And Nicole, I totally agree with what you were saying earlier about keeping your oldest dashboards like out in Tableau Public, because I look at one that I created that was with an aliens topic, and I'm like, like I think I show everybody the perfect example of having too much in a dashboard.
And strangely enough, like I got a gig from like the Hire Me button like 2 years ago. And I always ask my clients, and do this if you're going to freelance or be a consultant, this will help you. Ask your prospective clients what it is that drew them to your work. And the visualization that this client was talking about was something I had done like for Makeover Monday, like 2 years prior. And I didn't even think it was particularly good, honestly. But there was something about it that he really liked that made him want to hire me. So, yeah, even if you don't think it was your best work, someone else might think so.
Is anybody else intimidated by Iron Viz? Like, I don't know if I could go on stage. I think I'd probably pass out, like, from everybody staring at me. So,
Jane,
I'm doing an entry this year because it's a good opportunity to like. I think Jane, you said something earlier about like choosing a new feature to focus on when you make a new Viz, and like that's what I'm doing for Iron Viz this year on the advice of Nicole Clausen. Actually, she's like that's how she got motivated to do Iron Viz, I guess, last year. And I haven't done much with dynamic zone visibility yet. I just haven't had I've been busy. So I have a topic that I like and a feature to work with.
Oh. Thank you, everyone. We have a question in the chat. Yeah.
you got
What advice would you give someone later in their career who has enjoyed a few years of Tableau and wants to get more into data and visualization but doesn't really want an entry level position? That's a really good question.
Are you working in a data related role now?
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute earlier. I am. I'm a reporting lead for a PMO. So
then I would say you are in a position to just apply for roles that interest you. I don't see why you couldn't and why you would be limited to entry level positions. If you've done data related work, I mean, someone gave me this advice. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Bridget Cogley, actually. It probably was. She told me to apply for jobs that interested me, even if I didn't have a number of the skills, right? And I got those jobs. So I would say if the job description is something that sounds like a role you would want to do, and you have the majority of the requirements, I'd say apply anyway. You never.
Great. Thank you.
Last call for questions. I think another question that I heard from a couple of my student peers was, how do you kind of decide what kind of interesting new chart to use when you're trying to, like Jane mentioned, incorporate a new feature? And so how do you kind of figure out which chart you want to use while making sure that it's relevant and it makes sense and is not just creative, but also carries utility? So how do you get creative and innovative while maintaining utility at the same time?
That's a challenge. But
I think it is not always one chart fit all kind of a thing. You always have to experiment with different charts and then see what best shows your data. I think that's the advice I would go give. You'll see a lot of libraries which tell you that, okay, if this is a business dashboard, just use bars. If it is a yearly or monthly dates data, just use a line chart. I don't think that works. There are multiple ways to visualize, and based on your data, you need to understand what suits best. Nobody can give you an advice on short answer on that this suits best. Whatever explains your data points, insights better, just go for it. Recently, I was just looking at a YouTube, session of Andy Godfrey. He was giving a session on how can you visualize time, and it was amazing because he used multiple examples and areas to show that there is no one thing fits all. There is not always line chart to show the time. There are different things which fit when you are visualizing different kinds of data. So as people are working in different sectors, there are different types of data points, and you need to visualize it based on whatever it is. I think you get a hold of it with practice. That's what I would say. Might be something very different from others, but yeah, it's the best advice I got and sharing it.
Thank you, Jyoti.
That's super excellent advice, what Jody said. And the way you get to that place, I think, to move it even back a step, is exploratory analysis. You have to make a bunch of charts, and Tableau makes it easy for you to make a bunch. Like, I have so many worksheets when I start because I did a table and then I did a bar chart, a line chart, like all of the basic charts. So I can see what sticks out to me from the data, like Jody was saying. And then when I know what story I want to tell, then I can think more about like what chart shows or tells the story in the best way. And like she's saying, in like Andy's, that was an excellent presentation. He did it for the Tampa Tug last year, and I'll find the YouTube link of the recording. And it was, yeah, made me think differently, like about defaulting to a line chart every time I visualize time, even though the majority of the time I still do use a line chart, but not all.
Mhm. Yeah, the trial and error really, really does work a lot. Uh, Preeti says in higher ed, we were dashboards both from non-data and data people. So I try to use stars that will translate. That's really good advice. I think accessibility is super important.
Yeah, definitely a good one. You need to keep in mind who your stakeholder or viewer is for the dashboard, and that can literally change the way you show things.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Keep your stakeholders in mind. Any last questions or comments before we wrap up the event?
This is a fun session. I agree with you, Nicole. I like the panel session.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off of one person, right? And lets us have like a meaningful dialogue, which is nice.
Yeah, I love panel events. You get to hear so many diverse perspectives on the same question, and it really feels like a collaborative effort into understanding something. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and for our panelists. This was really, really useful. I made 2 pages worth of notes, so that was pretty cool. We would love to see more of you in the future, and we will share more about our upcoming events on LinkedIn. But thank you, everyone. It was really great to have you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Thank you.